Breaking news that we have for you as of 7:20 this morning. All of us, not good news, I'm afraid. Get the batteries out, if you can even charge them. Get some torches, get some candles as well. We're all being subjected to stage 4 rolling power cuts. That came into effect just over an hour ago. Ted Blom, good morning to you, energy expert joining us this morning. Ted, thanks very much, because I really appreciate you speaking to us so quickly. All right, so what has Eskom got wrong this time?
Okay, so my followers on Twitter and Facebook will have realized last night or yesterday that I sent out a warning that it was imminent to move to a further level of load shedding. When you go back to Saturday night and Sunday night and analyze the stats that Eskom made available, you'll see that on Sunday night they burnt 20 of those OCGTs, which is one hell of a lot of diesel. And on a Sunday night, it's unheard of for them to have to resort to those OCGTs, and more so on a long weekend when the Monday is also a holiday. So it was all in the air that this was going to happen. What's happened is, and if you can just stand back for a second and say, well, look, where are we? 2.5 years ago, this new CEO came on board and said he's going to refurbish all the old plant and make it fit for purpose again. He subsequently has changed his mind. He's not doing that anymore. He is on record as saying that he finds it a better proposition to spend money on renewables than to fix up old plant and to refurbish the old plant and get them back into working condition. So that already precipitates a situation of declining coal energy production. On top of that, the fact of the matter is that when they start running the diesel, they only have enough diesel to run for a couple of days, even though they have done some work on that. And after 2 or 3 days of diesel, that's the end of the diesel supplementation, or to a large extent. And then the rest is free fall. So yes, we're at level 4 load shedding now. Eskom reckons it's going to be solved by tomorrow morning, 5 o'clock. I think your listeners and watchers should perhaps prepare for a little bit of a longer period of blackouts. And possibility that it could actually get a little bit worse before it will get better.
Well, ordinarily, as we saw with stage 4, which kicked in on Sunday evening, if memory serves me correctly, stage 2 was meant to end Wednesday morning, i.e. tomorrow morning, 5 a.m. There doesn't seem to be any idea as to when the stage 4 load shedding and power cuts is meant to end, unless I've missed that update somewhere. It looks like it just could continue until Eskom gives us some kind of update.
Until tomorrow morning, 5 o'clock as well. But also, I don't see that happening very easily.
Okay. Here's the problem that I've got, though, Ted. Thanks for the update. I might have missed that somewhere on Twitter. Here's the problem. We haven't even had a proper cold snap in the country as yet. We've had a couple of cold days, sure, but we're not even into winter properly yet, and we're already having energy issues. And what's winter going to look like?
No, absolutely. It's not going to look very good. And in fact, Eskom's already come out and said, even though they've done it on a sort of a very quiet basis, that initially it's 61 days of load shedding. They've now upped that. Unofficially, again, that happened by a leak in their own press conference, that it was up to over 100 days. They haven't come out with a definitive number. And the fact of the matter is, I've been informed by a tweet from Mr. Koko, who I know many people despise, but the fact of the matter is he's still probably the most up-to-date technical person on Eskom. And he's just pulled out a maintenance schedule for the next year. And in the next year, in Eskom's own most likely scenarios, there will only be 5 weeks of limited load shedding. The rest is all in the red. And that doesn't spell good news for us for the next year.
I need to let you go in just a moment, Ted. Just help me understand and viewers understand. So when we say that Majuba and Tutuka have tripped, what is it going to take to get those 2 power stations back up? What is the process involved with that?
Okay, so first thing that has to happen is the power station or the boiler that's affected needs to, so each unit is made up of a number of boilers. The new units are 6-pack, 6 boilers. The old units go up to 10 units. So the unit has to be cooled down because it's burning at about 1200 degrees centigrade. So it needs to be cooled down before anybody can get very close to the unit. And typically most of the trips occur because of poor fuel. In other words, Eskom is messing around on coal procurement. They've been doing it since I sent out my report in 2007, and that's where the Gupta corruption came in. They're feeding more rock or abrasive material into the feed of the coal, so the boilers are getting a poor diet. And when they get a poor diet, they don't perform very well. In fact, they develop what they call boiler tube leaks, and that doesn't allow the boiler to build up pressure to turn the turbine. So the bottom line is that if that gets too bad, that they lose more power than what they make, so they have to then do some drastic action to take it offline. The less frequent errors are electrical errors in the generation unit, where there's maybe a short or else a gas leakage, and heaven forbid another explosion, like we've had 2 explosions last year on the hydrogen cooling coolant. But typically, in most instances, it's boiler tube leaks, and that will take a couple of hours to cool down, and then after that, the guys will get in there, try and fix the boiler tubes that are broken or leaked, and maybe replace a portion of the piping, because there's a couple of 100 kilometers of piping in those tubes, in those stacks, and then bring it back up to speed. And depending on how much they've allowed it to cool down, it could take anything between 4 hours and 4 days to bring the boiler up to operating temperature again.
Ted Blom, as always, I appreciate your insight and your willingness to always join me as quickly as possible. Energy expert Ted Blom. Not good news, I'm afraid. It's really painting a very bleak picture, but it's difficult to not agree with Ted. We're not even into winter yet, and we're struggling to keep the lights on. The breaking news on eNCA at 22 away from 9 o'clock is we have now hurtled into stage 4 blackouts.